Alrighty, so the first video here is going to deal with basically the things here on your test review that are highlighted in yellow. So we're dealing with congruent figures. So this is looking at questions 1, 2, 3, and I believe that is it. Let me double check. Yeah. So just dealing with 1, 2, and 3 on the review here, okay? So for the first question, it's asking about corresponding parts, okay? So if I were to have two figures here, we're going to say this is CSH, and then I've got another triangle. Let's say it's X, Y, Z. And if I were to say that triangle CSH is congruent to triangle XYZ, that means I'm dealing with all the sides are going to be the same in CSH as they are in XYZ, all the angles. So basically these are identical. Okay, so what I mean by the corresponding parts, okay, and you'll use these corresponding parts when you get to some of the proofs. Okay, remember they had that CPCTC thing? Alright, that's what the first two letters mean, corresponding parts. Okay, so that means that angle C, so it's talking about this angle, is going to be the same as angle X in the other triangle. Angle S is congruent to angle Y. And then finally, angle H would be congruent to angle Z. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Alright. Also, so those are the angles. I can do the similar thing with the sides. So I can say side CS congruent to side XY. So they correspond. They're in the same spot. They're not only in the same spot diagram-wise, but you'll notice CS and XY are in the same spot in that congruent statement. Okay, then you've got SH congruent to YZ. Okay, and then the last side, you've got CH congruent to XZ. Okay, and with these, remember you can have it kind of backwards. You can say SC congruent to YX, SC congruent to XY still, HS congruent to YZ, or HS congruent to ZY. Okay, the order of these two letters doesn't matter when you're dealing with the segments. Okay. So that's what you're doing for number 1. If you obviously here now you're doing it with bow and tie. Okay. Now if I go to look at number 2, so it gives me that triangle HOK is congruent to triangle IES. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to use the same triangles that I have right now. Okay. So it says HOK is isosceles. Okay, so remember isosceles means you have two sides congruent or two angles congruent. Remember those two angles are called base angles. Okay, so it says isosceles with a vertex angle of O. Okay, so basically that's telling me that the other two angles H and K are the base angles. Okay, that's also telling me that the two congruent sides, believe it or not, are HO and OK, because they got to be centered at that point O. Okay. So then it says HO is 12, IS is 16, and IE is 2x minus 4. Okay, and then it asks for x and also the primitive HOK. So when we're looking at these, there's a couple of key points between these two, okay? So I'm going to use CSH and XYZ instead here, okay? So if I were to give you that CSH is isosceles with a vertex angle of S, then basically what I'm saying now, oops, it's not an isosceles triangle. Excuse me. Let's use the line tool. So basically what it's saying is, if I have CSH, since S is the vertex, that's connecting my two sides that are congruent. Okay. Same triangle. Let's see if I can draw it out a little bit better. Yeah. So I've got X, Y, Z. Since those triangles are congruent, that means that these sides are going to have to be the same as well. Okay. So then I give you something like CS is 14, XZ is 12, and maybe I also tell you that YZ is 2x minus 2, something like that, okay? So when I go to copy this stuff down, I've got CS is 14. Since it's isosceles, I know SH is also 14. Okay. Which means that XY has to be 14, since these triangles are the same. YZ, also 14. Okay. So that was all the 14s there. Then it tells me XZ is 12. So I got 12. I know CH is also 12. Okay, that part's done. So if I want to find the perimeter, all I got to do is go ahead and add up on one of these triangles those three sides. Okay, and you should get 40 here. If I try to find X, well, now it looks like, hey, YZ is the same thing as 2x minus 2. So to find X, I've got to actually set that 14 equal to 2x minus 2. Okay. So I'm finding X so that YZ is 14. Okay. So I got to add the 2. So I get 16 equals 2x, or x equals 8 in this case. Okay. So I found both the perimeter and the x value. Okay. All right. Now for number 3 here. Okay. So it says given art is congruent to fun, talking about triangles here. So we've got 3 angles and we've got to find the x value. Okay, so when you're looking at these, let me get back to my slide here. So now let's say I'm dealing with angles, okay? Remember, okay, the 3 interior angles of a triangle add up or sum to equal 180 degrees. Okay, so if I were to tell you the measurement of angle C is, let's say, I don't know, 52 degrees, and they want us to find the measurement of angle Y. Since in this case I've got an isosceles triangle, I can go ahead and copy the 52 and the 52 since I know base angles are congruent. Okay, same thing, 52, 52. Okay, so to find this missing piece, remember that that angle that I'm trying to find plus 52 plus 52 is going to equal 180. Angle I'm trying to find plus 104 is 180. So the angle that is missing is 76 degrees. Okay. Now the one on this sheet is going to be a little bit different because it's not isosceles, but you still have to add the 3 angles to equal 180. Okay. So hopefully that helps with those 3 questions there in yellow. Again, the other questions on here don't pertain to the congruent figures, so it's just dealing with those couple. Okay. So now what I want you to go ahead and do is, if you had trouble with 1 through 3 there, I want you to go ahead and try to attempt those now on your test review. If I can get the program to stop.